Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are or whenever you may be tuning into this. My name is Amy Powell, and this is my journey through the AET program summarized with 3 very powerful takeaways. I entered the program with 2 main perspectives. 1, online and virtual education was not my preference, and I honestly thought it was lazy of the teachers to just move their content online and not have to interact with their students as much. And 2, I thought that teaching and education was mainly lecture-style events, with the teacher at the front with the marker board and PowerPoint, and learning transfer was as simple as students silently paying attention and jotting down notes of everything the teacher said, but that this was the extent of the interaction and participation. Now, I know why I thought the virtual training was an easy way out for teachers, educators, and instructors, but why I still held the perception of the teacher and the pupil style environment puzzles me, because I did not succeed in that setting. I really despised and struggled through most of my education because of that style of teaching. Maybe I thought that through this program I would have found that golden ticket of how to speak and present so that everyone would listen and learn the content that I was teaching. But my experience and what I have learned through the AET program has taught me much more than that. It was eye-opening and enlightening to know that to be an effective adult educator, I did not have to simply pack as much content and jargon into a session as possible and memorize and regurgitate a lecture with a PowerPoint behind me. That there's so much more to learning than just that. It was exciting for me because I knew down in my gut that there was more to education than just this. And I was so excited to learn more and start this AET journey. Throughout this program, I have learned so much, and honestly, am disappointed it's about to end. It has kept me engaged from the very beginning, and I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with my extra time when this is complete. Some of the biggest takeaways from this program are this. 1, learning is a chicken and egg situation. 2, it is our moral responsibility as educators to change society's perception of what education is and what it can be. And 3, virtual and/or online learning is quite the opposite of the easy way out and has massive benefits. 1, the chicken and the egg situation. To maximize learning transfer, and excitement about learning that adults walk away with after leaving an event requires an equal amount of energy and commitment from 2 people, the instructor and the participant. Participants' mindsets, experiences, expectations, interaction, and motivation contribute just as much, if not more, than the presentation itself. But this can, and frequently does, depend on when, where, how content is presented, and who it is presented by. Now, the chicken and egg factor kick in because participants cannot go to a learning event without it being marketed or advertised by an educator communicating that the information that is wanted is not only available, but will satiate the interest of the participant. But the participant wouldn't seek out the training in the first place if there was not something that initiated this interest, which maybe was ignited by others who went to the educational event, or simply seems to be a hot topic of the year, or a new regulatory requirement mandated by authority. You see what I mean about the chicken and the egg situation. This requires that instructors, facilitators, trainers, educators, whoever, know how to effectively communicate, articulate, motivate, and engage participants to maximize this transfer, not only from the beginning of the educational event, but way before. It is how we advertise and communicate what is covered, why what we are covering is important or needed. It is creating awareness within our community that this information is needed and helpful, and how we participate in the reputation of what adult and continuing education is and can be. which brings me to my second biggest takeaway. Our responsibility to represent educators in a way that creates a positive perception of who we are and what we do. That we are not power-hungry know-it-alls, but truly want to make education and learning as exciting as we know it to be. From my perspective and understanding, we have an uphill battle in changing this perception. Even within the discussions with classmates, we seem to have similar history and experiences with the stigma that those who can't do, teach. That education means a lecture hall, and our intelligence is based on the ability to remember something more effectively than another, and that this is tested through written, standardized tests. We may be fighting the reputation of who we once were, and how we may have started out in training or education within our companies with little knowledge or know-how on how to do so effectively, except our minimal tools of past experience of what training was from which we can draw. We have a newly re-energized passion and willingness to engage workforce development that may have to fight with our company's hesitancy based on their past perceptions and experiences of death by PowerPoint. But through this AET program, I have every confidence in the world that we as graduates of the AET program are equipped to fight that uphill battle. Every discussion, project, and presentation provided by my classmates showed so much passion and excitement for education that it continually re-energized me, no matter what mood I was in when I logged into the class portal. I even found myself logging in to read discussions to re-energize myself in other areas of my life. It is this passion, excitement, and drive from each of you that I am confident and proud to be a graduate from this program. The amount of effort that my classmates contributed to discussions, their willingness to be vulnerable and share their experiences, along with the final projects each semester continually impressed me and provided the strength and confidence to recognize that we are absolutely equipped to fight this battle against mediocre trainings, monotone talking textbooks, the ego with a PowerPoint, and lifeless virtual trainings that contribute to the poor reputation of what education is or can be. I left the virtual and online topic for last because this was probably my biggest shift in perspective and mindset out of all of these. Now, I am a huge proponent of in-person interaction. I was quite disappointed when I realized I was not going to be able to participate in the on-campus AET program and that I would have to participate online. After my first course, my perspective changed as a participant. As an instructor, it took a lot longer and a lot more convincing, but let me explain as a participant first. I quickly realized that I was going to get much more out of this program from online interaction with my classmates. Although you do lose the nonverbal communication cues and a certain relationship level that are unobtainable through a computer, I realized that through the online format, I gained the absolute best of my classmates and my ability to contribute at my best was maximized. Instead of narrowing the discussion and interaction down to a 2 to 3 hour period during the week, which could have been at the tail end of a terrible or exhausting day, the discussions were open 24 hours a day. This meant that if you are a morning person and your brain functions best after coffee like me, you could log on and post. This meant that if you are analytical, you could read posts, analyze the content, and then come back later to contribute to the discussion. It also meant that you could put what was being learned immediately into action and test it in real time. I am usually exhausted both mentally and physically towards the end of the day, which is likely when my in-person class would have been. I likely would have contributed a lot less, been far more disengaged, and would not have retained near as much as I have if I were to have completed this program in person in lieu of the experience the online opportunities of learning as a graduate student has provided. For this, I am eternally grateful that I was able to experience the online format of this program. Now, as for the other side of the coin, being a facilitator or instructor in lieu of a participant, it took a lot more convincing, but I am leaving this program, starting my own consulting business with the intent to build quite a bit virtually and the confidence of how to do so effectively. I learned the amount of hard work, dedication, skill, and preparation it takes to effectively teach or educate virtually. That energy and articulation have to be overemphasized to reduce the noise inherent to online content. And that you may not only have to teach the content needed, but how to access the content needed and be available for tech support or tutorials. Now, I have to give the worldwide pandemic a bit of credit in pushing people out of their comfort zones when it comes to virtual platforms, myself included. But this apparently was the push I needed to help myself and others realize that although we still have a lot of work to do, there is immense value in online education. Within the construction industry alone, we have struggled with a smooth conduit of education for our field guys on the job site. I have personally struggled with this throughout my years as the Director of Training and Outreach. But this door that was apparently hidden behind overgrown weeds in my brain was brought to light during 2020. It was when I cared to even notice the door and not simply discount the effectiveness of online education that I realized I can finally get training to the people who have wanted and needed it the most. But because of this artificial barrier, we have, for years, failed at effectively providing the necessary and essential tools to this group of people. So I am proud to say, as of September 2020, I have decided to leave my beloved company that I have been with for over 13 years to concentrate my energy in starting my own adventure, opening up my own company to build and provide leadership training to those in construction. Using the tools, experiences, and resources I have gained over the last 3 years in the AET program, along with my experience in construction, I have the confidence that I will provide something we have needed for a very long time in construction, while also representing adult education for what it is and the amazing things that it can be, and to motivate individuals to find their own learning style that sparks that excitement to learn and then never stop learning.